Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to make a video to talk about what I've been up to recently since I don't really post consistently, although it does seem like I've been posting a lot of videos about my game. This is also sort of a test video of my new microphone setup, which is a Shure SM57 on a wobbly microphone stand, I just noticed. But the reason I wanted to switch to this mic specifically is because it's a dynamic mic and it has a very narrow sort of sound directionality. So in theory, you can't hear my air conditioner and my fan and my air purifier. So if that's successful, I'm going to be extremely happy. I can already tell from the metering that it's not really picking up noise. So I'm already jazzed up about this video. So basically, I wanted to talk about Brick Game and why. Yeah, I think I want to go all the way back to why the heck did I make this really janky looking game? Looks like it's from the 70s. And I think my answer is going to be A, because I was making a game for the 6502 processor, which happens to be from the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. Specifically for the Game Tank, which is a game console built around this 8-bit processor. And then is that one reason? Am I going through the list? Probably. The second reason is I've been calling myself a game developer for what, 10 years almost? No, maybe not, but close enough. And I don't I think it's safe to say I've never released a game. Like I was developing Saber Thing, which is a VR lightsaber game. I was developing that for years and I had the technology really tight and I was obsessed with the response time, the quality of the lighting, the bloom effect, and the audio, the procedural audio, and the responsiveness. When you swing it around, it makes that cool buzzing sound. But I guess I learned very quickly that I love game mechanics and shaders and procedural audio. I love the process, but I didn't know how to make a game. So I needed to remedy that. I needed to take that out of my I needed to correct that part of me. And so to call myself a game dev, it's probably okay because I've been helping people make games and by being part of a team, I've been helpful in that respect. But I just really wanted to make my own game. So in January, I decided to do two things. I had a theory that I can make an analog input device for the game tank, which only has digital inputs, which are in the form of a D-pad, which is up, down, left, right buttons, and 3 face buttons plus the start button. So that's 8 buttons total. So I thought, okay, fine. I'll override all 8 buttons. Or in my first prototype, I decided to go with 7 buttons for the paddle, so 7 bits. So my theory was take this analog input, convert it to a 7-bit number, which is from 0 to 127, in case anyone's curious. So it has 128 subdivisions of this rotation of the paddle. And then the leftover button is the button I wanted to use to interact with the game. So I built a prototype device using an Arduino as a proof of concept, and it worked. And I had to simultaneously learn how to write a game to make this kind of package deal as like a proof of concept. And that's how my breakout clone, which I named Brick Game, came to be. And it was this really incredible process of discovering what the what the what the game tank is capable of, what I'm capable of, and what I cared about. I had to learn what's important to me about this game, and the answer comes down to a couple things. I needed it to be, because it's an analog input, and I needed to really, or yes, I feel the need to really impress this idea on people that what makes paddle controllers so incredible to me is that it's a mechanical device and it's a one-to-one correlation. So if you turn it all the way to the left, then whatever the on the screen, you see something move all the way to the left. Like it's if you have good muscle memory, there's a very specific physical limit. It's like the physical position of your hand on this knob correlates perfectly to a position of a thing on the screen. So in order to maintain that total immersive kind of feeling, I had to make sure to also have like low latency and high frame rates. So high frame rates on a game tank is 60 FPS, which is the exact, it's locked to the system, which refreshes 60 times per second. And I believe it's because it's also locked to NTSC, which is the video signal, which on a CRT monitor is very specifically timed to the scan lines. I think I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's where this whole concept comes from, and the reason why we also render in two fields. Although the game tank isn't really rendering fields. I think I'm getting out of my depth. But just to say that I'm locking my game to 60 FPS. I'm as I was optimizing it, I was desperately trying to keep it like perfectly locked. However, having that 60 FPS lock isn't exactly necessary to have that the notion, this appearance of low latency, because, and what I mean to say is, it's the position of the thing on the screen is still a one-to-one correlation. As fast as possible is a one-to-one correlation between what's happening physically in your hand and what's on the screen, because it's not accelerating to that location. It's actually reading that voltage and correlating that with the position of the thing on the screen. So anyway, so that, I think another thing, so let's get Brick Game up on my screen, because you deserve to see nicer visuals. So which one is it? So I might as well put the demo up on the screen, because that's another thing I did, which was oh my god, that I always do that. I always blow my ears out. I know it's probably turned down for you. So something interesting about this game, and I do feel like talking through it, is wait, let's go full screen here. Wait, why isn't it? Ugh. Seriously, what is? Oh, okay. So what do I want to talk about? First of all, I forgot. I just remembered because it's on my screen and I'm staring right at it. Is the fact that there is a really cool NTSC style filter happening here. I don't know if it's too subtle. I don't know how much of it gets compressed out, or if it just looks like compression. But it certainly, if I toggle it off, you can see that there's a difference. And let's go ahead and get it playing. But also, why don't I mute the audio? So, what do I want to talk about? The fact that I had to learn quite a lot about the inner workings, or not so much inner workings, a little bit. I think the advantages and disadvantages, or just how to take advantage. That's what I'm looking for. How to take advantage of the power of the game tank, and I I'm not I don't really develop, or I haven't in the past developed at such a low level. I learned a new term, bare metal programming, which a lot of what I did isn't exactly this. Like, I think bare metal is probably more accurate towards people who. I think it has to do with programming for a specific device, which is in this case it is the game tank's. Yeah, yeah, the device, the literal memory address is how you're how you're getting data. It's like and changing information is like you can actually modify a bit in memory, and then that's how you can make changes like on the screen. So I'm learning about bare metal programming, and I want to say a funny thing, which is this is the fastest code I've ever written. It's the fastest game I've ever written. It's and I think it's appreciable. Like when you're playing it on the Game Tank hardware, it feels fast. It feels faster than anything I've ever played on a PS4 or whatever on my M1 Mac. It's really hard to describe to people today that there's a difference. When your computer isn't constantly checking the internet to see if to record your data. I don't know. I don't know what computers do. What do they do? Or they're sharing memory with 100 other programs. Or they're checking the time of the day. I don't know what they're doing. If I had prepared for this, I could have a list of 100 things. But the beauty of programming for a console like this is that there are no distractions for the CPU or for the player. And so it's just really beautiful to program a behavior, and especially one that you can like have a tactile device with a knob that correlates to every movement on the screen, and you can really feel that connection. And so that's kind of why I want to refer to this as the fastest game I've ever written. And it really makes me think I don't want to make games in any other way. So when I was developing for VR, I had a similar notion that what we were that there was too much going on under the hood that was causing hiccups on the screen. And the thing is, the problem with VR is that when the screen hiccups, when there's like a little bit of a delay and it has to refresh, because it's trying to reproduce the 3D world in your eyes, your body sometimes can't handle that little glitch, and it makes you feel really sick really fast. And so it's really important to maintain something like a 90 frames per second frame rate. And it'd be nice if latency was also reduced. But anyway, just to say that I remember having that notion in VR, and somebody said something snarky to me because I think it was on Twitter that I expressed this idea, and someone said something snarky about it. I wish I remembered what it was, but it didn't prove their point because they don't understand that I was just saying basically that that game developers would be better, or if a VR headset should have a way, let's call it something easy, like maybe it should be something like cooperative multitasking, like on an old Apple device, the original Macs, like that. There should be some way of limiting the amount that your processor gets distracted by other tasks, when what's really important is the user should feel immersed and not get sick. So it's the little things. But in the world we live in today, we are totally just overwhelmed with devices have to be connected to everything else. Everything's wireless, everything's digital. It's all, even like the programming, the APIs, the programming interfaces are designed to communicate in layers. And yeah, I think I could probably. I'm already sorry for talking so long, babbling about this, but it's just how strongly I feel about computing in this way, where the fastest game I've written in my entire life relies on components that were available 40 years ago. And it's like arcade games from that era were also so fast. Yeah, okay, so I might as well plug in my paddle. So I have my paddle controller here, which is a USB. So it's a RP 2040 with all it has is one button and a potentiometer hooked up to it. And I'm going to plug that into my USB. And the way I've kind of configured my game is that it automatically recognizes the paddle. And so here I go. I'm playing. Okay, that's me. And this is kind of what I mean when I talk about the speed. Is like I can move the paddle really fast. And another thing I'd like to talk about, since I'm playing it right now and I'm using the paddle, is that I designed the game to be used in this way with a paddle controller. And this was kind of a dilemma for me, but it's something I feel very strongly about. Clearly there's like tens of people on the planet that own a USB paddle controller. And the closest thing I've seen people use that's maybe compatible with this game is when they 3D print that steering wheel, and it's got this gear, like a rack and pinion steering setup, that moves your left thumbstick left and right, and it controls it so well that you could use it in racing games. So like if somebody has one of those 3D printed steering wheels and they stick it on their Xbox One controller, they could probably play this game pretty well. The only difference from like what I get is that it does have like a springy thing that will try to center the paddle to some degree. But Yeah, I found myself in like this chicken and egg situation where I was building a game for a controller that people don't really use anymore. But it was so important to me to just make a game, first of all, that I want, and then build the controller so that I can play it. And like it it's such a strange concept. I mean it's not strange, right? It's strange if in the sense of like trying to sell something. How are you going to sell a game that's built for a controller that nobody owns? You know, it's like yeah, it's really quite a strange dilemma. Um, but let me finish. What level is this? Level 3? Yeah, one thing I want to talk about is I decided to release a demo because I think this game's going to be very frustrating. Obviously, I'm having fun because I'm playing it the way it was designed. It has a paddle. So this is what I want to say is you're going to see that if I hit this last block, I should go on to level 4, but it quits at at the end of level 3. So that's demo mode, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you. My thinking was once you get to level 3, I think you're in the game. Like you really know the game and you've played it, and I think you know what to do. So I'm going to unplug my paddle, and then I'm going to hit. So I probably need to document this a little bit better, but when there's no game controller connected, it defaults to keyboard mouse. So if you hit enter, that'll start the game. Oops. Okay. I had to hit it twice for some reason. And then I'm controlling it with my trackpad on my laptop. So I think pretty sure the bulk of people who play this game are probably going to download it on their Mac or PC, and they're going to experience it in this way using a mouse. And I do think it's pretty good, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it using a trackpad or a mouse. But because I designed it for the paddle, it's like you really gain so much by having the precision of a paddle. Like I consistently get to level 6 or 7. Oof. It's a little bit harder with mouse or trackpad. Although I seem to be doing all right. Oh, this is just level 2. Let's see. Okay. And but so I think a lot of people are going to have this experience. But then the other thing that's going to happen, I might as well restart. So I'm going to go ahead and reset. So the other thing that might happen is you'll be presented with this screen, and this might also seem confusing because how are you going to play with a paddle? So I have to figure out some kind of documentation because this is a game made for the console and it's running in emulation, and this was kind of another dilemma. If I'm releasing on Steam, should it still feel like it's being emulated or should it be its own thing? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit. So at least I did one nice thing for clarity, which is since it doesn't detect any controller, it now switched to keyboard mouse, and now it actually correctly suggests pressing the Z button instead of A. I should say Z key, and then or pressing the X key, or the which would be mapped to the B button. So I'm going to go ahead and do X for gamepad, and this is a new mode which people might prefer, even though I think they're insane. But how that works is if you. Oh no, what happened? What is happening? Hold on. I thought it was supposed to use the arrow keys. So I'm hitting X. Did I find a bug? Oh yeah, okay, the arrow keys are working. Well, what did I do wrong? I think I did something wrong. So this is the left and right arrow keys. Personally, I think the game is impossible to play this way. So I don't know. I just wanted to make sure it was playable on the game tank for somebody who doesn't own a paddle. But it really, you really have to be from that generation, I think, to truly appreciate why this mode is so horrible. It just doesn't make any sense. I suppose it makes sense. It's just that it's like it's like if it's like if all of a sudden if Tesla's if the new Tesla had a joystick instead of a steering wheel. That's what it's like to me. Wouldn't that be insane? I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just babbling at this point, and but this is the type of stuff I think about. So I'm just gonna release the game. People will play it. Um, People will have to play the demo in order to really understand what the heck they're getting into, and then some people will get it. But I don't know. I don't know who those people are. Like I don't know who my audience is. I made a game specifically for me, and it's like some kind of a cross between uh, an old person from Generation X who grew up with really old consoles or arcade machines. But it's a cross between that and, some sort of modern, like you have to know Steam. I learned recently not everybody uses Steam, and I'm like, I don't understand. I thought everyone had Steam. But apparently not. And what else? The notion of like switching between different control schemes, that requires yet another kind of level of intuition about games or experience. So it's some kind of strange hybrid individual. It would be different if I sold the game with the paddle and I said, "This is all you do." Press play and then press the button because the paddle only has one button on it. Like, so yeah, the whole chicken and egg thing. So the game will be out there, and then I think, it's not so much about selling paddles. I don't I don't. I mean, I do need money, but it's. I kind of want. I think I've said this in another video. I just want to kind of bring back this awareness of this analog controller that technically is already part of your Xbox One controller or PS4, PS5 controller. Like they all have this analog stick, and but over the years, it seems like we're trying to defeat the purpose of that analog stick. a lot of analog sticks have a dead zone because they don't want the centered stick to be a little wobbly. Like they don't want it to drift to the left or the right, so they put a big fat dead zone in there. So you're kind of they're removing this huge component of the analog signal. So like it just feels like a phasing out of all of the analog parts of a controller. Like it, if we were looking 10 years in the future, I feel like controllers won't have those analog components, and I think people will have forgotten. And anyway, I have Babylon for way too long. I don't. I think we'll call this a vlog, right? This was my experimental microphone test, also, and also just kind of unburdening myself about why I made a weird game, you know. But it's also a heat wave. I hope everyone stays cool. Play some video games, I guess, on a video on a video console that doesn't require too much electricity, so it doesn't heat up your apartment or house or whatever. Okay, that's it. Talk to you later. Bye bye.